Have you ever find yourself struggling with some parts of your life, some plans of your life, and sometimes you had initially planned everything so well that you had overseen things and stars had aligned so well, all you saw was success coming your way, but abruptly you find that things are not working out well, and you sit down then remembered, oh, maybe I didn't include someone I hold of high regard in my initial plans. There are people who don't have parents, of course, but you have people you respect in your life. You have people who hold some authorities in your life. You have people whom you trust so much, and without talking to them before you go ahead with your plans, everything seems to be scattering. And that's why you need to include people you trust so much in your plans. That is what brings me to my belief. I believe that everything I do in this life, as long as my parents are alive, I have to include them in my plans, in my procedures if I am planning or proceeding with some very important things in my life. That's why, while deciding to come in Gulf to work as a house manager, though it wasn't an easy decision to, I had to include them as early as possible. I had to acquire their go-ahead because I believe that I need their blessings. Apart from God helping me, I know I pray to God. I know God is above everyone and above everything, and if He says okay, then I have to go ahead with my plans. If it is His will, then everything goes well. But there is one thing we tend to forget as human beings, that parents also hold some high regards in our plans in life. So, according to my belief, I had to convince my parents. I say convincing because coming to Gulf wasn't a good picture in their eyes. The reason why it wasn't bringing a good image in their eyes, in their brains. There were very negative news circulating all over the media, all over the internet news, that Gulf countries were mistreating workers from foreign lands, and people were suffering, even others were losing their lives. Parents were so pessimistic when anyone could say that they need to go to work abroad, especially in Gulf countries. And following that, mostly it was so hard to follow up when someone is suffering in a foreign land, so parents weren't so easy to convince. So it also dawned on me that I had to convince my parents. And how would I have convinced my parents alone? I thank God I have siblings, and that's why also you need to have a good relationship with your siblings, whether young or older than you. I decided to talk first to my siblings. I asked each one of them, and they both agreed with my decision that it was okay to go ahead with my processes of traveling to Gulf. And when I mentioned Saudi Arabia specifically, some of them hesitated, but because they knew that whenever I'm determined, I have to achieve what my goal is. We agreed, and so it was time to convince my parents. So I used them. I used my bigger sisters and my brother, because he's a teacher, he's well exposed to the world, so he is mostly to be believed easily by our parents because he's exposed, and they believe according to our parents. They believe that whenever he says okay, and also according to the culture, when a man says okay and he is a son in a family and he is old enough to make decisions, then parents can think it through slowly and see why he has said yes. And in the meantime, he had already given me a go-ahead to proceed with my processes, because he was at home trying to convince parents, and I was in Nairobi trying now to go ahead with my processes. Includes training, includes medical tests, includes applying for passports and some other things that are required to travel. Any time he would find them in a better position to talk to them about this, he could chip in and talk to them. So I was in training, and I had my father call, and he said he has listened to everything he has been told, and now he is okay with it. I go ahead, and I was so relieved. So I underwent my training with a much relieved heart. And after the training, I went at home, and that's when he sat me down and told me, although he was hesitant, although his heart was heavy at the beginning when he heard about my plans, he had to think about those people who also travel abroad, and they come back safe. They come back to their countries safe. Why would other people travel and come back safe, and why would others be afraid to travel? That's because maybe you don't trust God, or maybe you make some silly mistakes along the way, or maybe you just didn't know better. He told me now because He has thought through all those things. He has decided to let me go, and God will take care of everything. That alone uh, showed me that now I am in a better position and I am much safer because I have His blessings as my father. And because already my father has accepted, my mother also had already accepted. And so, having the blessings of parents, that means I also have the blessings of God. And that's when I had so much faith uh, expanded and multiplied in my soul that everything would be okay. Although I had some fears, of course, because I am human, I had to hear what the world talks about when it comes especially to Saudi Arabia. But again, my faith was bigger than the fears. So it is my pleasure to tell you also that if your faith is bigger than fears, there's nothing you can't do in this world. And if you respect your parents and you include them in every process of your life, whether you have your own disagreements with your parents or what, this does not mean include everyone and in every situation or everything you want to do. You before you start, you have now to call everyone and tell them, this is what I want to do and that. No, plan yourself well first. See that this thing is now coming to a reality, and now call those people you want to tell and see how they react. Apart from calling them or finding them, involving them in your plans, you also have to pray to God. And that's what I did. I prayed to God first. First, before even I could talk to my siblings or my parents, before I could tell anyone, even friends, I had to talk to God first. I had to ask God, and I told God, I need these people to agree whether it's only your will. If it is not your will, maybe something might happen, or I can hear from whatever answers they give me, their feedbacks. That's why in this video I'm encouraging you to include God first, then people you hold of high regard in your life, and your faith should work marvelous for you. Remember, big faith overcomes big fear. Next video I'll be sharing another interesting story about my journey. We have just begun. The episodes are yet to unfold. Goodbye. Have a good fantastic time.